Welcome back to another Gentleman Fantasy Football Podcast. It's Season 2, Episode 2, coming at you right now, pre-season...
Pre-week 1 something. Yeah.
That's what it is. On the Hot Stuff Pizzeria hotline, my buddy, my pal, Robert Rushlow. Robert, what is happening today?
What is happening tomorrow? Game 1, week 1, it's finally here. Let's go.
Let's go. Where are you going to be watching the game tomorrow?
Let me tell you where I'm going to be watching the game. From the Milwaukee Brewers game. Because my team decided that instead of doing, the commonsensical thing and deciding to have our team conference on any day, not including the first game the Packers play week 1, decided, hey, let's just do it Thursday, Friday. We'll go to a Brewers game. We'll do the conference, blah, blah, blah. And after they booked everything, I finally got back from the class that I was at earlier this month. And I was like, hey, anybody notice that lines up with the first Packer game? And then they were all like, oh, look at that. And, there was some obvious...
Wait. Hold on. We have breaking news. You're going to a Brewers game instead of watching the league opener, the Packers opener against the Bears for the 100th anniversary? You're going to a Brewer game?
100th anniversary. I was offered to go over to Los's house for a cookout. It just seemed like the perfect way to watch a Packers-Bears game. And instead, I will be at a Milwaukee Brewers baseball game, not watching a single live minute of the first game of the year. As you can probably tell by the tone of my voice, I'm not all that excited about it. Trying to be optimistic. I'm going to watch it later on. Just very sensitive subject.
I will be texting you every 5 minutes with an update and just pissing you in your Cheerios the whole time.
I fucking hate you. Side note, at least I'll know when you stop talking to me. That'll be like my signal that the Packers aren't doing so hot.
That's probably what's going to happen. We're like, man. Well, there it went.
Yep, there it was.
Yeah, when Rodgers limps off the field, that's when I'll stop talking to you.
Well, we just know that means he's coming back in the second half to rally a win.
I mean, it is the Bears, right?
Yeah.
But, all right, let's get right into it. No more screwing around. Here is the real breaking news. After a crazy weekend of NFL cuts going from 90 players down to 53, the Texans went crazy. Let's talk about the most important transaction of the weekend. You ready for it?
Oh, I'm ready.
The Packers put Jace Sternberger on IR this afternoon.
Whoa!
Unbelievable.
God.
Do you think he'll stick around in the league long enough to become Jordan Reed?
I mean, that's aspiring to a lot. I mean, to be as prophesized.
I mean, do you think he could? He's been in the league for 3 months, and now he's on IR. He was supposed to be the Packers' savior at tight end. Do you think he could do the Jordan Reed and make it in the league 7 years without ever playing more than 4 games?
Hey, I mean, he's off to a great start. But that's just another year for us to embrace Jimmy Graham, Kyle.
Well, let's move on. But actually, let's get to the real important news of the weekend. Are you ready for it?
Hold on a second. No.
What?
Jimmy Graham and Eric Bledsoe. I don't know what your deal is with good.
No. Let's not start with Eric Bledsoe.
Okay, fine. Go ahead. What's the real breaking news?
The real breaking news is that the Oakland Raiders have signed Deshaun Kaiser. He is now the 4th quarterback on the 53-man roster.
Which is 2 quarterbacks more than anyone should have on their 53-man roster.
I mean, it is John Gruden. Apparently all he knows is quarterbacks. Bad quarterbacks at that.
I was going to say, I don't remember him winning the Super Bowl with a phenomenal quarterback.
It was Brad Johnson.
He was underwhelming, to say the least. Yeah.
I mean, he's
I'd
no
rather
Shane
have Pfizer
Falco.
than Brett Johnson.
But, all right, let's get into the actual league ordinary gentleman stuff. There was this thing called the draft that happened not this last weekend, but the weekend before. Now, my apologies to all you people who think that just because there's 2 weeks between the draft and the NFL season, that we would actually have 2 weeks worth of shit to talk about.
Wait, what do you mean, you people?
The people who keep texting me asking, where the fuck is the podcast? And I'm like, dude, how much shit do you think we have to talk about? We usually stretch, 20 minutes worth of shit into an hour the way it is. I don't know how you expect us to do 2 episodes without having a game played.
Yeah, let us enjoy the rest of our summer, you savages. We're giving you everything we got.
No shit.
That being said, we're going to hit you with a good one today. Kyle actually did some research. I actually put a computer up in front of me. Like, you might get some real analysis, like some of our hard-hitting, deep, real deep and maybe wide, even wet, perhaps, stuff that we have to offer you as far as fantasy football goes.
Yes.
And life in general.
And like Jonah Radio, we apologize for the first episode.
Yes.
All right. Well, here we go. We did a thing 2 weekends ago.
We did it so hard.
It was an auction. Initial reaction.
It got good reviews. After the draft was over, some of the guys that I thought might be a little opposed to it were like, you know what, that was really fun. Let's keep doing that. And I think everyone just had to see just how great it is to have full control of who you get. And as you can see by looking at everyone's teams, which we will do in just a little bit, it ended up pretty balanced anyways, because that's the whole point. You get a certain amount of money. Unless you just don't spend it, you're going to get players from all over the board.
I got to say that is the biggest thing that I took from the draft. I was able to, having, all this, everybody's stuff, I was able to actually print out position specific lists of how the dollars all landed on everybody. And then I took that and I measured it up to ESPN's top, ESPN's top 300 rankings, just to get an idea of where everybody fell. And it's amazing how everything kind of slotted in the correct order to ESPN's top 300. That's not to say that, like Andrew Ted spent a lot of money on running backs and has some real top quality running backs, and he's shy in other positions, but the teams are just composed differently than they would in a snake draft. But it's amazing how the value of each player fell just in the same way that the snake draft would kind of fall. So
right.
To me, it turned out, I think it was a success. I think it was more fun. The underlying fun part of that I don't know if I was ready for was Luke Nearing was a great auctioneer.
Oh my God! Yes,
he was on fire.
He was a fantastic auctioneer. The comedy, the accuracy, like he was on top of it. He was perfect. He was absolutely perfect.
He kept it moving.
I wouldn't want anyone else moving forward.
No, I hope he can do it forever, because that is a tough job.
I rescind my invite to him to come back into the league when somebody leaves, because he now has a full-time job with him.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
1 day a week, you know what I mean? 1 day a year.
But I mean, I hope he's able to do it every year, because I don't know, it's going to be tough to find someone else to fill those shoes, because that is kind of a tough job. It's long. You have to be on the whole time, and we really don't pay you a ton. It's got to be someone who actually just wants to come hang out with us.
Yeah, he set the bar high. It was amazing. I was incredibly impressed. I thought it would be a little more rough, probably, some sketchy activity, maybe a couple of arguments, but it went clean, man. Clean as hell.
And I got to say, aside from like everybody kind of feeling out the process, I learned a lot. I definitely won't come in to the draft with the same mentality that I had this year in the
Right.
coming years. But I think everybody kind of took everything and learned as they went. Excuse me. And
Yeah.
and I think we're all going to learn from it, move and become better auction drafters. But I know for me in particular, there's so many more variables, and you can bid up guys, and you could pay attention to other guys' rosters, and know that this guy, like with Ed for a while there, he needed a running back, and guys were just pouncing and bidding up everything he was trying to get as a running back because he was so shy at running back. And I think once all of us get a better grasp on how everything's going, I was so concerned with my team that I wasn't really as aware of the other people's teams as I think I will in the future, if that makes sense.
Yeah. If you can really step up your tracking game, and by you I mean everybody, you can play some serious war games. You can see somebody's need and know that you're going to get a couple extra bucks out of them for them to still get that player, but those couple extra bucks, as you see going into the latter rounds, can mean the difference between, getting another valuable guy on your bench or having to wait till the end and, till everybody's done outbidding you.
Right. And the other thing that was underrated in that was, with the snake draft, like Los always used to say, he would try to get on the ends, and then he'd go take a smoke break in between his picks, years ago.
Right.
Now, with the bidding, I mean, you just kind of got to be on all night. You're paying attention all night long, seeing who's getting guys where, how much everybody else is paying, trying to keep track of how much money each other guy has, so you know that when it comes time for you to make a bid on someone, how far is that guy going to go? When Justin had a ton of money left over, every time I put a bid in on a guy, I'm just going, God damn it, I hope Justin isn't hanging around because he's got way more money than I can put into anything. If he wants to one-up me on anything, he can,
Yeah, every transaction mattered. There was no sitting out for a couple rounds, or you were losing information on what it was worth and what.
I mean, for one guy, there was sitting out a few rounds, and that was you.
Yes, I did exactly what I set out to do.
Set out a lot of rounds.
We'll get into that.
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely get into that.
Somebody else sat out a lot of rounds, just the earlier rounds instead of the later rounds.
Who are you talking about there? You talking about Ed or Justin?
Talking about you, man.
Me?
Yeah.
I was involved. I had the
Who's
second
the
guy
first
off the board.
Who's the first guy you went for?
The first guy I got was the Eagles defense. It's like the second.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I waited a long time in the beginning to get someone. You're right.
But we'll get into that. We can do this team by team as we make our picks, and we can kind of mix the draft stuff. I know you got a lot of cool stats you want to throw out there. I don't want to hold you back.
We're going to try to whip through this because the challenge is on right now, and Nicole wishes I was watching the challenge with her, so we're just going to have to whip through this real quick.
Oh my gay!
What?
Never mind. What? I didn't say anything.
The challenge is like the 5th national sport.
It's like the WWE of reality TV.
No, dude. Have you ever watched a challenge?
I've watched a single half of an episode.
Yeah. You watch a whole season, you'll be into it too.
Fair enough. I'll give it one chance. Never.
I got some numbers for you here. All right. I'm going to go position by position. All right.
All right.
We drafted 192 players. 23 of them were quarterbacks. Collectively as a league, we spent $186 on quarterbacks. Now you got to remember, there's $2,400 on the board total because there's 12 guys at $200 apiece. So we spent $186 on quarterbacks. That's like what, 1/6 of the money on quarterbacks?
Yeah, I think only 7 or 8 of them went for more than $1.
Actually, all but 3 went for more than $1. But
or at least not more than a couple bucks.
Yeah, Luke spent the most, $38 on Pat Mahomes. the guy that spent the least on quarterbacks was you.
Damn right.
You got Josh Allen, which $2 is a good deal. I wanted Josh Allen too. $2 for Josh Allen and $1 for Dak Prescott.
Hell yeah.
So you spent the least by far. Other notable quarterbacks that went, Deshaun Watson for 24, Baker Mayfield for 23, Aaron Rodgers for 20. That was kind of those were 4 of the 5 consensus top 5 quarterbacks. Everybody underneath that went for less than $10.
Yeah,
And
I was interested in Watson, but at that where he was going in that auction, I couldn't hang. I couldn't spend that much. I couldn't justify it.
yep, sleeper steal of the quarterbacks was Zach with Matt Ryan. I believe he was the second. I think I put him up. He was like the second quarterback put up for bidding. He went for $6.
Yeah, that was impressive. I thought somebody else was going to jump on that, and I didn't really love Matt Ryan, but for that price, I really can't say anything bad about that.
Price-wise, he was the 11th highest priced quarterback. And ESPN's rankings for quarterbacks had him at number 4. So 11 to 4, that's a bargain right there if Matt Ryan does what he's projected to do. Other than that, everybody else kind of fell where you'd expect him to for quarterbacks.
Sure.
Running backs. There were 63 running backs taken for a total of $1,086. That is just shy of half of the total budget went to running backs.
That definitely contributed to that.
Andrew Ted took 4 running backs for a total of $116. That was the most of anyone. Most guys were somewhere between the $116 and $90 range. You there?
Yes.
Oh, I thought I lost you.
I was just pulling up Andrew quick because I was like, I remember he took Saquon and Zeke. I was like, man, I wonder what just those 2 combined on his team went for. Because
would you like me to tell you? Because I have all the information.
I mean, he only has Peyton Barber and Darrell Henderson besides those 2, so I'm assuming it's just those 2 for the most part.
Saquon went for 60, Zeke went for 44. 44 for Zeke, now that he's playing, is cheap.
Yeah, that was a huge deal.
But yes, he spent $104 of his $116 on 2 guys.
But that's, that is the risk you take on an unknown. A lot of us weren't willing to go on just assuming he might play.
Right.
And fuck's sake, he almost didn't. I mean, he signed about as late as a guy could.
Yeah, but, the more you think about it, he probably wasn't gonna because he had 2 more years left on his deal, so it's not like he had he would have had to sit out for 2 years if they didn't want to pay him to get out of that contract.
Yeah.
And
think Melvin Gordon plays?
What's that?
So do you think Melvin Gordon plays?
No. Because he can Le'Veon Bell and just not play. He's closer to Le'Veon Bell than Zeke was.
Somebody's going to have to cough up a first-round pick to get him in a trade, though.
Yeah, why would you trade for a running back?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what's going to happen there. It's weird. It's interesting, man. It's interesting football gossip.
It is interesting.
What we do here.
All right. Least money spent on running backs was Ed. Ed spent $34 for 5 running backs.
Yeah. And that makes perfect sense when you look at them.
Yeah. And that's by a long shot. The next closest guy was at $65, I believe.
Yeah, Ed's in obvious rough shape. His best running back is Jordan Howard, maybe?
Yeah.
God, it's rough. LaShawn McCoy, Rashad Penny, Jalen Samuels, and fucking Tevin Coleman, who's second on the depth chart right now. That is painful stuff.
It's pretty bad. Running backs. there are three guys that went for a lot of money. Saquon Barkley went for 60. Alvin Kamara went for 58. Christian McCaffrey went for 57. Then it drops down to 45 with your guy David Johnson.
Yes, it did.
There is four guys in the 40s and a handful of guys in the 30s, and then there's another 7 or 8 guys in the 20s, and then under that it's just, 19 through, $1 for just random guys. However, a couple notable ones here. Another guy you picked, Chris Carson.
I knew this was going to come up.
$33 for Chris Carson.
You bet.
Who's widely ranked behind your other boy, Josh Jacobs, whom you spent $7 less for.
Yes. So this, is
explain the Chris Carson thing, because that one just blew my mind.
Okay, so I got into a bidding war with Steve, obviously, and, you easily could have been picking on him for spending just $1 less than I did on Chris Carson. So we're both kind of believers here. Chris Carson...
No. The reason I'm really questioning your Chris Carson thing is because after Chris Carson, you were basically left with chump change. You had nothing left. Am I right?
I had everything I wanted. Yes.
Yeah, but you had what, like $12 or something after you drafted Chris Carson?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. It's not the fact that you drafted Chris Carson or that you paid $33 for Chris Carson. It's the fact that you paid $33 for Chris Carson after spending $45 on David Johnson and $26 on Jacobs.
Yeah. My starting lineup looks exactly like I wanted it to look, and I believed that there was value not only on the tail end of the draft, but like every year, there's value all over the waivers. I wanted my starting lineup to look like something more impressive than what I get every year when I'm conservative, when I'm trying to, not take risks. Everybody was being timid in the beginning, yourself included, and I took the powerhouse starters that I wanted. I wanted Vance McDonald. I wanted Devontae Adams. I wanted David Johnson, and I really wanted Chris Carson. So
Why?
I went and I got it.
Why, though?
Because I
it's
feel
the
like
Seahawks. It's not like they're going to run him into the ground.
They are, though.
No.
Not only are they going to run him into the ground, but they're going to pass him into the ground this year as well.
Yeah, I think you're overrating the Seahawks, I think.
Listen, I got my guys, the guys I really like. All right, you got your guys. It's the way it goes. This is what I was talking about the fucking auction draft. And I compared it to the whole situation that me, you, and Los always used to do in the snake draft, where we would trade our picks so everybody got kind of what they wanted. Some of us wanted, a few high-end guys and to sit out rounds fucking 2 through 4. Some guys wanted to get 6 picks between rounds 2 and 3. It's just a matter of preference. And my preference was getting my running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends in my starting lineup all set up where I really like what I'm looking at, and the rest I'll figure out along the way. Waivers are there for a reason. People come up out of nowhere. I have $100 more bucks to spend. I can make this shit happen.
All right, I'll take your word for it. I just thought the Chris Carson thing was foolish because at that point in the draft, with the money you had left, I just think you were better off just waiting for a guy for $22 that could fill that same position, and then.
All right, how many running backs was more money spent on than Chris Carson?
11. There were 11 running backs that went for more.
Barkley,
Kamara, McCaffrey, David Johnson, Ezekiel Elliott, Connor Gurley, Chubb, Bell, Mixon, and Cook.
Got it. I bet you Hot Stuff Pizza Chris Carson's a top 10 running back this year.
Fucking put it on the board.
All right.
That's not going to happen. Write that one down. I don't even know if we... By the way, I don't even know if we could do board bets anymore because the message board thing on... The whole ESPN
I wrote it
desktop page is fucked up now. I don't know if we're going to need to make like a Facebook group or something. I don't know what we're going to do here. But,
That's not
huh?
So that's not a terrible idea.
We're gonna have to do something because there's nothing on there that allows you to like keep anything. You know what I mean? It's all chat based now.
Who's our stray subscriber to this podcast that isn't actually in the league that would be like, oh man, I'm going to keep track of these board bets. That guy should be doing that shit.
None of the stray listeners. Apparently, Aaron's still listening, and apparently Ted is on board listening now too, because he and Ryan were wondering what was going on with the podcast. So
listen up, write this shit down, all right? We're going to keep spewing random shit, and as long as you want us to keep producing podcasts, the least you can do is follow along at home and keep us honest about our bets, because I'm going to make a freaking lot of them.
Okay, I can keep track of them, actually. Hot stuff. Pizza.
But for what it's worth, I did write it down.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I don't know if this piece of paper is ever going to survive the entire year, but I did write it down.
First board bet of the year, Hot Stuff Pizza, Chris Cartson, top 10 running back.
Damn, we're all going to look back and laugh at that.
Yeah, especially me. Just going to laugh real hard. Who is the backup running back that was supposed to be awesome last year for them?
Penny, he's been a total bust.
Yeah, he'll come back. It's Pete Carroll. They never use their running backs aside from Lynch.
No, what'll be funny is when they both suck and it's actually CJ Procise. That's
awesome. God. Anyone but him. Oh.
That sounds like a Week 10 pickup right there.
All right. Wide receivers. 63 wide receivers picked. That's the same number as running backs. So we had 63 running backs, 63 receivers. Wide receivers, we spent a total of $882 on. The most money spent on wide receiver, ironically, Ed, at $116, the exact same price that Ted Andrew spent on his running backs. Ed got 5 wide receivers for $116. Least amount spent on wide receivers, $52 by Travis. He only selected 4 of them. Wide receivers, I didn't even make a note of any wide receiver that went kind of out of their range because they pretty much followed suit exactly the way you figured it.
I felt the same way. I think everybody went about appropriate. I was pretty passionate about Devontae Adams. I think maybe I paid a couple of bucks more than what maybe the consensus value was there, but he was part of my plan. I wanted Devontae really bad.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask me, DeAndre Hopkins went for $47. Adams was the number 1 wide receiver at $51. DeAndre Hopkins went for $47. He probably could have went for a few more dollars. Julio Jones, $46. I just think the top end of receivers was probably a little bit lower than I expected.
I completely agree. I thought wideouts were going to go around the same, if not more, than what Devontae Adams did. And that speaks to the fact that everybody in this league is still pretty passionate about running backs.
Yeah.
Even though it's been proven by you, that it's been proven by multiple players in the league that if you have a solid stack of wideouts and your running backs aren't necessarily that strong, it usually yields better value.
I would agree there.
So, something to think about out there, League of Ordinary Gentlemen.
Which, ironically, my strategy is usually to go wide receiver heavy. I actually went wide receiver light this year.
You did. I was flabbergasted by your lineup.
I spent. I picked up 7 wide receivers and I spent a total of $55 on them.
Yeah, and that's why we're best friends, because we never manage to be on the same page about everything. It's like this year we completely flip-flopped theories, and I went for wideouts that I liked a lot, but it's funny.
So everybody kind of fell in order there. Oh, I did miss one running back point I wanted to make. 2 of them actually. Justin drafted Damian Williams, the running back from Kansas City, who now looks like he's a second-string running back. He spent $28 on him. He was the 17th highest paid running back, which was 5 spots higher than ESPN even had him ranked. And
Go ahead and elaborate on that. Why is he the second string running back?
Shady McCoy got sent to Kansas City to go back with his buddy Andy Reid.
Yeah, Damian Williams is still the starter.
And then they traded Carlos Hyde to the Texans.
Right, because Carlos Hyde and LaShawn McCoy at this point in their careers are probably about the same person.
Well, I just think it's ironic that Carlos Hyde gets traded to the Texans a week after his old teammate from the Browns, Duke Johnson, gets traded to the Texans. And last year, Carlos Hyde got like 75% of the carries when him and Duke Johnson were on the same team, and now apparently Duke Johnson's going to be the starter and Hyde's going to be the backup.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Duke Johnson believer. That being said, I was pretty high on Damian Williams. That guy is going to be good. I don't think Shady McCoy is going to pick up more than 12, 13 carries a game at his age. Even in Andy Reid's system, I don't think there's a chance.
I think
McCoy,
if Andy Reid,
Williams, there's no way he's the starter.
I think if Andy Reid picked up Shady McCoy, that means that he's not confident in Damian Williams.
Well, you have to have backups. They don't have Kareem Hunt anymore. They have a bunch of other guys that are okay, but I mean, I see the value there. Obviously, Andy Reid trusts LaShawn McCoy, but he's not expecting LaShawn McCoy to be the explosive, madman he used to be. He's cheap now. He's affordable, and they got him at a decent deal. I don't see why they wouldn't have. The fucking Bills released him.
Yeah, and LaShawn McCoy was drafted by Ed for $8. So
yeah,
if he ends up being a large contributor, that could be a steal right there for a guy who spent the least amount and has the weakest running back crop.
Damian Williams would have to get hurt for Shady to yield any kind of starting value.
I think it's a 50-50 split.
All right. We'll see.
I mean, I wish there was a board bet to make there, but I just don't know how you'd make that.
Yeah,
bet.
That's digging too far in the weeds. We'll just have to see on that one.
All right, tight ends. There were 17 of them taken. $167 were spent on tight ends, which is $9 less than quarterbacks, but there were 23 quarterbacks taken. The most money spent on tight ends was Ed, again. Ed was either at the top or the bottom of everything.
This really explains the lack of running back depth.
Right? Ed spent $37 total on 2 tight ends. Ryan spent a total of $4 on 1 tight end. Yeah, that one kind of just went chalk too. Kelsey went for $33, Kittle for $31, Ertz for $21, and then there wasn't a single tight end that went for more than $11. Evan Ingram, O.J. Howard.
I got my buddy Vance McDonald, the old Mickey D's. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Ready for that to be huge.
You never know what's going to happen with Steelers tight ends, so we'll see.
Well, I know that there's not an annoying other guy that's going to be in the way of his awesomeness this year. So.
Oh, you didn't know Heath Miller came out of retirement?
And Witten? This is incredible.
Well, he figured Witten came back, so he had to come back too.
Jesus, is Tony Gonzalez coming back too?
Yeah, and Antonio Gates is signing with the Chargers tomorrow.
Oh my God, and Gronk will come back. Hell, at this point, I'm willing to believe Aaron Hernandez will be back.
Well, he won't.
Too soon?
Too late. He's dead.
Oh shit.
All right.
I meant to say O.J. Simpson.
Oh, the juice has been in the news lately.
Oh boy. Let's just get past that.
All right, let's move on. Here's another fun thing that I found for this year. On the ESPN Fantasy app, they have an up to the moment, because they got all these stupid algorithms now, and they have final standing projections. And as of right now, I'm going to run down 12-1 who ESPN thinks is going to be the worst to the best team at the end of the year if we did nothing and projections stayed what they are. Okay? You ready? Where's your drum roll? You're a drummer.
Drum roll. Stop.
Okay. Number 12, Justin. Left $11 on the board. they think Justin is going to have the worst team this year.
I thought it was weird when he was just picking everybody off around the fifth, sixth round. I'm like, where is he getting all this money from? And then it made perfect sense.
Yeah, because he didn't spend a dime on anyone in the beginning of the draft. All right, number 11, Ed. He did not have Ted draft for him this year.
No, and it really shows. You know, when he's in control of his own team, he really does craft his own destiny.
He sure
Ed,
does.
you've got a championship that was not yours. You should have let him have the fucking trophy the whole year. You proved exactly what we were bitching about.
Yep, and again, there's a theme here. Number 10, Jason. Have you noticed these three guys on the bottom here were all three guys that at one point of the draft or another, everyone kind of looked at him and said, hey, what are you doing? You got a lot of money, or you don't have any running backs, or, all people were looking at him going, what the fuck are you doing? And according to that, ESPN is saying, what the fuck are you doing?
Exactly. And that's what I wasn't going to get looked at and being said to. I fucking spent my money real good and hard.
Number 9, Zach. Number 8, Steve. Number 7, Luke. Those are the projected guys to miss the playoffs. Now, you don't see Zach missing the play. I don't think Zach has ever missed the playoffs. I'd have to look that one up. I don't recall him ever missing the playoffs.
Very often either.
Well, Steve's either in the top 3 or the bottom 3.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, Luke, he obviously doesn't listen to this podcast because he doesn't understand how to use technology. He couldn't even count how many players he had drafted or the amount of money he had spent.
Yeah, God, I wish you were a fly on the wall between me and Luke. He was basically asking me how to do the entire draft, asking me over and over what his budget was, what his max bid was, who he thinks who I think he should grab. He's like, well, you don't have any money left. Would you do that? You think he's going to be good? What does your app say about that guy? Like, he was in my ear nonstop asking me about value and what he should do and what I think he needs. I'm like, Luke, I'm not drafting your fucking team, man. Like, figure it out. He couldn't even manage his own budget.
Yeah, I think his glory days are past him. I got to be honest. It's been a few years since he's really been at the top of his game.
Yeah, he's dead. His prowess is just gone. He doesn't care enough about football anymore. He doesn't have the time to pay attention.
Well, and I just also don't think, he's the elder statesman in the league. He is 52 now. I don't know if he knows how to use a computer. To be 100% honest on that.
We should respect my elders. I was bitching at him, telling him he should get the app, and then I realized, maybe I should have said application, because he might not even know what the app means.
Yes, app is short for application, yes.
Yeah, he asked the bartender if they had a payphone.
Oh, and now we're to the teams that would make the playoffs. Coming in as a wild card, number 6, you guessed it, just like every year, Robert Rushlow.
Hell yeah. I like my middle seat at the draft table, baby.
That's right. Number 5, Ryan. Number 4, me. And your top 3 final standings projection
Wait
from
a minute.
ESPN.
I know where this is going. I don't like this at all.
This is ridiculous. Number 3, Travis. Number 2, Kyle Krall.
This cannot finish this way.
And the number 1 projected finisher of the League of Ordinary Gentlemen, Andrew Ted himself. Could Ted win the league 2 years in a row and not be in the league? Is it possible?
Is that what's going to happen? I'm looking at his lineup right now, and I'm like, holy shit, look at that. Ben Roethlisberger, Saquon Barkley, Zeke Elliott, Antonio Brown, Josh Gordon, Jared Cook. I'm like, wait a minute. Did he do something right?
After he took those 2 running backs, I was flabbergasted. I'm not even gonna lie. He took those 2 running backs, and I was like, well, he just blew half his money. And we're like 7 picks into the draft, and then all of a sudden, we're 3/4 of the way through the draft, and he's just cherry picking guys because somehow he managed to pick up low dollar guys, fill out most of his roster, and at the end of the draft still have money to cherry pick guys after spending, 2/3 of his money in the top 4 picks. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, he even got away with Antonio Brown after all that. That is neat. Let's can we get the hair song dropped for the future champion?
Hair, long, beautiful hair, shining, gleaming, streaming, flaxen, waxen.
Yep. I mean, it might be it. If Ted can pull this off 2 years in a row, it's going to blow my mind.
I'm skipping the draft next year. I'm going to give him a lot of money to draft my team. And I'm just going to go bait my deer stand or something and just come up with some excuse why I couldn't be there.
Ryan told me straight out he was going to pay Ted $50. If he wins this year, he's going to pay Ted $50 to just do his draft for him, and then he's going to do somebody else's draft.
I think $50 is a little cheap considering what first prize pays out, but, maybe somebody listening at home will understand that, they have some negotiating to do.
If you ask me, I don't know what kind of deal that Ed and Ted had worked out last year, but if Andrew wins the league, Ted should get half that money at this point, shouldn't he?
I mean, it's a proven. I think we might have to do a raffle to see who gets kicked out of the league to let him in.
See, I was thinking that same thing. For those of you who don't listen to the BS pod or the Bill Simmons podcast, him and Cousin Sal are in a league. I think we've talked about this before, but they're in a league in LA with a bunch of actors and famous people. It's an 11-team league. 10 teams make the league every year. There's an 11th team. One guy gets voted out every year, but you don't get voted out until all 11 guys get to the draft. They all bring their preparation. They bring their papers, their laptops, whatever. They all show up to this auction draft. And then the winner of the league from the previous year stands up and says, "You're out of the league." And then that guy just has to get up and leave. After a whole year of planning, showing up to the draft, setting aside his time, doing all the research, and he just says, "You're out," and then you're out of the league for the year. And the next year,
it's really incredible.
And the next year,
I would love to do.
And the next year, the guy who wins the league gets to do the same thing.
I think we all know who would get voted out the first time we do this, though. If that was a thing.
Oh yeah, it'd definitely be me.
I think it might be.
And the worst part is nobody would get paid out. It'd just be the league would fold after that.
I'm convinced that like 75%, maybe more, of the league secretly, and some not so secretly, really don't like me at all. So it could be me. They're probably getting sick of hearing my voice as we speak.
It'd probably just be you and me over and over again.
That would be, considering we do the pod, that would make perfect sense. They would be their running joke. Let's keep getting rid of these experts, quote unquote.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, let's move on here. Something brand new for this year. By the way, I just finished the schedule like an hour before we started this podcast. So for those of you who thought you were playing someone else, joke's on you. The schedule completely changed. And I addressed this at the draft. The reason for the schedule changing is because ESPN does kind of a goofy schedule, and I changed it to the Football Guys version of the schedule, which puts the division matchups at the front of the season and the last 3 weeks of the season, which kind of makes it more entertaining for everyone because whatever divisions are close at the end of the year, a lot of times the last 2 weeks kind of decide who makes the playoffs and who doesn't.
I see no reason to argue that logic.
All right. Well, I have 9 huge matchups for this season. All right. And each of these matchups have a specific name. All right. And of course,
I really like this.
and of course, some of these matchups happen twice because of the way the divisions are. But first off, matchup number 1 to watch out for. It's what I'm going to call the Champions Bowl. It's Zach versus Ryan, 3-time champ versus 2-time champ. Right? Zach's a 2-time champ or a 3-time champ?
At least 2.
I can't remember.
Because he beat me once, and then he won again year before last.
I don't remember. Either way, it is the 2 most winningest guys in the league. They face off in weeks 1 and week 8. That's the Champions Bowl. Look out for that one, Zach versus Ryan. Matchup number 2 to watch out for. It's the Fish Bowl, guys. It's me versus Steve. You can find that on week 2 and week 5. It's a doubleheader this year. We are playing for fish twice.
Oh, man. I actually like that one.
Every time Steve and I play, we always play for a fish dinner.
I get excited about that matchup.
I do too. Trust me. I love fish. All right.
Well, I mean,
All right. Matchup number 3 to watch out for. It's what I like to call the Bottom Feeder Bowl. That's in week 3, and it's between Ed and Andrew. So, you might say Ed's not a bottom feeder because he won the league last year.
bullshit. He didn't win anything.
But it was Ted's draft, so he had a leg up. And if you look at Andrew's team this year and what the projections are, Andrew might not be a bottom feeder this year, but I think it's because of Ted again. So,
Right. Asterisk. It might as well be called the Ted Bowl. Listen, Ed, your championship has an asterisk on it. Your team name might as well be Ed's asterisk. That's all it is. It's an exception made by someone else to your terrible drafting strategies.
And speaking of, we gotta address some team names here because this year I think our team names are pretty weak right now. We got to do some working on that. But all right, matchup number 4. It's what I call the DeBrew Bowl. It's me versus Jason. The both of us are slightly, in a way, married into the DeBrew family. That's how we met. It's because of the DeBrews. We're calling it the DeBrew Bowl. Me versus Jason. That's also week 3.
That's acceptable.
Matchup number 5 to watch out for. It's the Mortal Enemy Bowl. It's Rob versus Ryan. You could call it the Rob Ryan Bowl. It's a defensive specialist. That's week 7. You can't beat Ryan. You never can beat Ryan. I'm gonna watch out for that this year.
To beat everyone else. I don't need to beat Ryan. Damn it! I'm coming for you this year, buddy. I don't care what projections say.
Well, you never beat Ryan. That's week 7. I want to see if you can, rally and make your first win against Ryan.
You're going down, you 6'11" bastard.
All right. Matchup number 6 to watch out for. It's what I call the Whitewater Bowl. It's Steve versus Justin, weeks 8 and weeks 12. Those two both have some odd ways of coming into the draft and managing their teams, but they're both from Whitewater, so, that would make sense, right?
Absolutely. Couldn't have did it better.
Matchup number 7 is what I call the Appleton Bowl. It's Robert versus Zach. You can find that matchup on week 9.
And that might be one of my favorites. Like I enjoy playing against you because of the deep rivalry that we share. We're basically the Packers and Bears of this league. But it's always just fun to go against Zach. His team is so unpredictable. And if you recall, we had a bet one year. I forget. I think it was 2 years ago. That came down to a game versus me and him, and then he beat me by like 3 points and fucked me out of the playoffs. And then he also won a bet against me. It was just the worst thing ever. I'm determined to beat him as well.
Well,
That's why we can write this shit down. I could have referenced that more appropriately, but I don't have any access to the message board.
Right. I forgot one. We're going to do this one. God damn it. Hey, this is why you don't use just a stack of papers for your notes. Because for fuck's sake, if I could find the goddamn notes.
Oh, the notes.
All right. Matchup number 8. It's what I like to call the CTI Bowl. It's Luke versus me. That's week 11.
Yeah, loser has to make the other guy cabinets.
That's right. Yeah, we're going to have to make the loser makes the winner a hopeless chest.
Ooh, nice.
Matchup number 9. It's what I like to call the Team Mexico Bowl. It's Zach versus Andrew. Back is going to get a spot in the playoffs.
You can't say that on YouTube.
You can't say that on YouTube?
I don't know. I'm sure you can.
Well, should we post it and find out?
Just not once we get more subscribers.
Oh, yeah. I think there's 7.
That out.
Bob's Johnson. I like that team name.
Yeah,
I just saw
changed one word and the logo.
Yeah, it's definitely a
I
wiener.
used to have, Jordans and Johnsons, but now I just have David Johnson, so it's just my one Johnson.
All right, and the 10th and final matchup to watch. It's what I call the Podcast Bowl. It's you versus me, and it's on week 12. There could be playoff implications for that one.
Oh, why do I have to wait so long?
Week 12.
Now,
that should put that solidly. That's solidly in the range of your birthday. There, you do know that.
Yes, it's right in that window. But as usual, there's a mandatory bacon cheeseburger pizza on the line on that one. That's not even
that's
the board bet.
That's
just what
obvious. That's just what happens.
And we have to watch the games together, of course.
Of course.
Maybe we'll do a live podcast
Oh, geez.
while watching games.
Do a live
Just
feed like
reacting to weird red zone plays.
Do a live feed like the Ringer does. Just guys watching TV.
A live feed like we do. It'll be much different.
Oh, so much different.
Yes, it'll probably be worse.
All right, matchup time.
Yes, finally. Time for the pick'em, bitches.
Let's get to pick 'em. Now, I don't remember who won or who lost. I think you won. I don't remember how much you won by. I'll be honest. At some point, I think we kept keeping track.
I also don't remember what the bet was on. Like, what did I win by winning?
I think this is a Bill and Sal thing where I don't know if there is a thing to win.
Fair enough. What's important is I won, America.
And sometimes that's all that matters.
That's right.
All right. Week 1 matchup number 1. It's we're going old school. Luke Depry sticking with second string versus Ed Shimmick, name to be determined.
I can think of some ideas.
I have no idea. I'm sure he'll think of something.
I suggest some kind of weird pun about the lack of running backs, like running back the draft, or let me run it back and try again. Something like that.
Yeah. I wish I could run it back to last year and have Ted draft for me again.
Hey, there you go. Well, it's Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. It could be Ed and Ted's adventure back into the draft.
Well, let's quickly go over all these matchups and quickly go over the rosters since I'm sure we're running out of time here. But
yeah, we're going long and hard. We had a lot to hit you with. Draft analysis, week 1. This is exciting. This is what the people wanted. Damn it, this is going to be the best podcast you get all year.
All 7 people. This is what they wanted.
That's what they want.
All
Let's
right.
give it to them hard.
Highlights of Luke Depre's draft. He picked up Pat Mahomes. He's got Mark Ingram and Darius Geis as his wide receivers. I mean running backs. Justin Jackson at running back as well. Melvin Gordon looks like he's not going to start. He's looking weak at running back, but if Gordon comes back and plays, he'll look a lot stronger. He's got Smith-Schuster, Marvin Jones as his wide receivers, and also A.J. Green and Robbie Anderson. Zach Ertz is his tight end, and he's got the Vikings defense, and Jason Myers is a kicker.
Yeah, and I talked Luke into Justin Jackson and A.J. Green, both guys that I couldn't afford by the time it got down to them. But I told him, I'm like, hey, you need to handcuff Melvin Gordon, and the handcuff isn't actually Eckler, it's Justin Jackson. He's the actual handcuff to Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, he's the runner.
The receiving specialist and like the third down kind of cool guy play kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. You look at Ed's team. Ed's got Lamar Jackson at quarterback along with Kirk Cousins. And he's got his running backs are weak, just like we said, Tevin Coleman, Jordan Howard. He's got Rashad Penny and LaShawn McCoy.
God.
Jalen Samuels.
It's rough. It is rough. He's got Michael Thomas and Brandon Cooks and Travis Kelce and a bunch of guys nobody wants.
Yeah, I mean, T.J. Hockenson, people have been talking about. Chris Godwin, he
I
outbid
did like
me on.
T.J. Hockenson, but he doesn't need anyone to show up at tight end. He's got Kelce.
Oh, right. He's got Valdez Scantling as well. All right, this matchup, who do you like in this one?
Give me Luke. Not even close.
All right, I'm taking Ed on this one. I just think Luke's got a lot of questions. I think Luke's going to be better later in the season when he gets, if Gordon comes back and he gets A.J. Green back after injury. But until then, he's thin everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, getting into matchups, like I like Ingram against Miami, Smith-Schuster against New England, that, they're going to have to do some work to score points. Zach Ertz against Washington. Washington sucks against, receivers and mostly over the middle shit like tight ends. So there's a lot of things I like. Justin Jackson, he's going to get a bunch of carries against Indy. That's not bad. ESPN projects Ed to actually win this, but I just think it's going to be Luke.
All right. Well, you got Luke. I got Ed. Ooh, I should probably change that to the right pick.
I like that we disagree on the first matchup. That's good. We're coming off. I don't like it when we go chalk. So.
All right. Second matchup: Steve versus Krull. Quick glance at Steve's team. He's got Wentz, Le'Veon Bell, Devontae Freeman, DJ Moore, Odell Beckham, Delaney Walker, Kenyon Drake, the Chargers defense, and Brett Maher. On his bench, he's got Adrian Peterson, a suspended Golden Tate, a N'Keal Harry on IR, Alexander Madison as a backup running back, and Anthony Miller.
Yeah, it's too bad about N'Keal Harry. I thought he was going to be pretty cool to watch. He's kind of neat.
Yeah, and I really wanted Adrian Peterson real bad, but Steve outbid me by $1. I couldn't go anymore. I think Adrian Peterson Adrian Peterson's going to have a year. He might not be a. I
agree with that.
He's going to be a flex worthy guy, and Steve got him for like what, $7?
Yeah, and that works out nice for Steve because Devontae Freeman and Kenyon Drake. You figure one of those two guys are going to sit a couple of weeks.
Yeah, neither of them are going to be healthy.
Law of averages. One of them are going to get hurt.
Yep. And Krull. Krull has a lot of Rams. He's got Jared Goff and Todd Gurley. You can only hope that works out well for him. Aaron Jones and Julio Jones, a couple of Joneses. T.Y. Hilton, who only shows up when you don't need him. Hunter Henry and Alshon Jeffrey. The Rams defense, and Greg Zuerlein as the kicker. So that's 4 Rams starters out of his starting lineup.
Bench Aaron Rodgers for Jared Goff.
Shit. I didn't even yeah, he does have Aaron Rodgers. Why would you bench Rodgers?
Benched Aaron Rodgers for Jared Goff. He
Just
must
because
be a
it's
big
Chicago?
defense leader.
Just because it's Chicago, huh? I don't know if I would do that.
If that's enough to make you pick Goff over Rodgers.
Look, the only guy I would bench Rodgers for is your guy, Josh Allen. It's the only guy.
Yeah, that happened. That was a bet. That was a board bet at one point.
He never lost me third place. Mm-mm.
Yeah. In your defense, Rodgers had literally one functioning leg. That's not the case now. Rodgers has two functioning legs
and in my defense,
functioning mustache.
In my defense, Josh Allen was the highest scoring quarterback over the last 6 weeks of the season. It just so happened that Rodgers threw for 50 points.
Yeah, there's
the
a
one
reason
week.
he's on my team.
Yeah, Kral has Jamal Williams as a backup running back as a handcuff. He's got Emmanuel Sanders. Kareem Hunt is another sort of handcuff. He picked up Mark Andrews, the Baltimore tight end, who I'd like, but just couldn't see the point in rostering him with having Kittle on my team.
Yeah, he's got his pile of Ravens. Marquise Brown, Mark Andrews, he was going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, he really likes to sit in his pocket and play pool, I guess, with, the same guys from the same
That's
teams.
okay. You got your team. You want to have some players from it. That's kind of one of the reasons I wanted Devontae Adams. I wasn't really huge on everyone else as far as I need to have Rodgers or I need to have Aaron Jones, but I really wanted Adams. It helps that he's on the Packers. It's a personal thing.
Yep. All right, well, I got Kral winning this game. Who do you got?
Man, Le'Veon Bell on the Jets is just so hard to predict. Same with ODB on the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love the Delaney Walker thing. I don't love Drake against the Ravens, but yeah, give me Chops.
Yeah,
I wanted to talk myself into Steve, but I got to take Chops.
I was giving him shit about having all the Rams, but I don't think Carolina. People talk that Carolina might be all right. I don't think their offense is going to be that good. I don't think their defense is that good.
If you're Steve, all you have to do is cheer against the Rams.
Right, but I think the Rams are going to have a good game. I think the Rams are going to have a good game. By proxy, Kral's going to have good points.
The Rams are 45% of Chops' whole team, so.
Yeah, and the rest are Packers and
Ravens. And T.Y. Hilton. Good luck. Anyways, yeah, we'll take Chops there, even though we're mocking him.
Yeah. All right, we got Travis, Carry On My Wayward Sutton versus the old school donkey punchers, Andrew Pribble. Or Ted.
I knew I wasn't going to get Carry On Johnson this year. I know I talked him up a lot and all that, but for what I knew he was going to go for, he's not the value this year that he was last year, and I don't think his projection is going to be any higher than it was last year, so I just wasn't going to go that far.
I think long-term, Travis has got a pretty solid lineup here. Deshaun Watson, Christian McCaffrey, Kerryon Johnson, Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, Evan Ingram at tight end, Sony Michel as a flex. On his bench, he's got Kyler Murray and Cortland Sutton, Giovanni Bernard, and a pile of losers.
This is the kind of team that you expect to see coming out of like your standard snake draft, where you got a guy from just about every tier. It seems appropriate.
Yeah, the one thing I'm going to tell him that's working against him is you cannot have a name of a player on your team name who's a bench player. You can't have Carry On My Wayward Sutton as your team name. Cortland Sutton, you're going to cut him 3 weeks into the season, and you got to change your name.
Carry On My Wayward Sony, because Son is SON. I'm just saying.
All right. So
just or Carry On My Wayward Stephon.
As long as it's a guy who's actually going to play. I mean, it could be Carry On My Wayward Johnson for all I care.
Whoa, a Wayward Johnson is risky business.
All right, Andrew's team. Andrew has the team that everybody's been talking. I mean, Ted has the team that everybody's been talking about. Roethlisberger, Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Antonio Brown, Josh Gordon, Jared Cook, Peyton Barber. Browns defense, Mason Crosby. On the bench, he's got Jacoby Brissett, who just got a contract. Cam Newton, he's got Sammy Watkins, DK Metcalf, Greg Olson, Darrell Henderson, not the guy who steals bases, the other Henderson.
Some interesting rosters here.
Yeah, and Mohamed Sanu.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. You know, you mentioned Brissett's contract. They gave Giovanni Bernard a 2-year, $10.3 million extension with the Bengals. I think he might actually be of some value to Travis.
I didn't see that
in
one.
the not-so-distant future.
Interesting. I didn't see that one.
Yeah, it might be more of a split with Mixon than everybody's thinking.
Well, Mixon went for a lot of money. Hopefully it doesn't bite someone in the ass.
Yeah, it sounds like he'll be the next person to sit out, first couple of weeks of next season.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I picked Andrew here. Who do you have?
This one's tough. Even ESPN
It is
struggles
tough.
with it. It only has Travis winning by a tenth of a point.
By a tenth of a point, right? This one is tough. I'm going with talent here. Not that Travis doesn't have talent, but it looks like Andrew's team's got overwhelming talent in the starting lineup.
Yeah, with Zeke and Saquon and Antonio Brown, that's hard to resist. But I'm actually going to take Travis. I like Watson against New Orleans. That could be just a crazy shootout. I like McCaffrey just about any way I can get him. You're looking at 3 of the top 4 running backs. 3 of the top 3 really projected running backs: Saquon, McCaffrey, and Zeke, all in this matchup. My boy Carrion, he's going against Arizona. That's not bad at all. Diggs is always good for a couple breakout catches. Amari Cooper's been amazing. Evan Ingram's supposed to be huge this year. Give me Travis.
All right. We disagree on that one. Moving on. We got Mitch Please running it back for the second year. Zach Schneider versus old school Yankees heroes Ryan Rumlow. You look at Zach's team, he got his boy. He got Trubisky back. He's got Leonard Fournette, who I thought went for a bargain. David Montgomery, who also kind of went for a bargain. Tyreek Hill, Mike Williams, Kyle Rudolph, Austin Eckler in the flex. The Bears defense, some guy whose last name I can't pronounce is Chicago's kicker. Cooper Kupp on the bench. Matt Ryan as another value pick at quarterback. And a whole bunch of chodes. Tariq Cohen, James Washington, Duke Johnson. I'm in on Los's team. I'm just not in on Los's choice of starters this week. Okay.
I think he's benching Cooper Kupp in favor of the trick play guy on the Chargers, or the passing down guy.
Austin Eckler is going to get more work than you think.
No, I know he's going to get work, but it's Cooper Kupp.
He's one of the most efficient running backs. He's one of the most efficient running backs in the league over the past 2 years when you factor in the amount of touches he gets a game.
Have you seen Kupp's efficiency when he's on the field?
Yeah, he's white.
All right, you want to do a side bet, Eckler versus Kupp?
What, this week?
Yeah.
Melvin Gordon's not playing. Sure. What do you want to put on this one?
Steel Reserve, tall boy.
I don't even like Steel Reserve.
I know.
But neither do you, huh?
It's for the guy who got head in the car. Anyways.
Oh, okay, good point.
The other thing I don't like is Matt Ryan sitting in favor of Mitch Trubisky against Green Bay. I would say what you want about the Green Bay defense, but they've gotten better, and they're going to be an interception machine.
Well, and
year.
it's a rivalry. It's a rivalry matchup. It's going to be a slugfest.
Yeah,
it's going to be a slugfest. I think.
Matt Ryan.
Well, that's what I mean. It's going to be a slugfest. I think Matt Ryan will be just fine this week. I don't know. He loves his Trubisky. He got him for like $1. He's gonna ride him.
Ugh. But I do like the Fournette Montgomery thing. To your point, Fournette did go for a deal. You know, if he goes back to the Fournette everybody was afraid of, you know, when he first came out, that could be awesome. But going up against Kansas City, really don't love the matchup. But you know, whatever. The same, like he's rolling out David Montgomery and you know the Bears defense and the Chicago kicker. Like he's another person putting it all on one team. You know,
Yep.
like if you're gonna act, you get the point.
Well, he's got
Moving
Cohen too.
Right.
Looking at Ryan's team, he's got Phil Rivers. I mean, if you look at his quarterbacks, he's got Stafford, Winston, Phil Rivers. So he's running his 3 quarterbacks like normal. He's got Joe Mixon, James Conner, Adam Thielen, Mike Evans, Jimmy Graham, Marlon Mack, the Saints D, and Jake Elliott on his bench. He's got another defense. He's got the 3 quarterbacks, Deshaun Jackson, Larry Fitzgerald, Deion Lewis, all guys who were good, in 2014?
Yeah, definitely a a few years ago powerhouse.
Yep, Jimmy Graham's even on that team, for Christ's sake. This week I have... Did we miss something? I have Ryan on this one.
I was hoping you'd take Zach. I also have Ryan.
Why
and
do
I have Jimmy Graham hauling in a tutty this week.
Really? You call that one?
Yeah. I think the way the Bears defense is laid out, it plays to be a good red zone game for Jimmy Graham if he can hold on to the fucking ball. Also, people are sleeping on Marlon Mack so hard.
Can Jimmy Graham run a correct route is my question.
Look, Rodgers doesn't need him to run the right route. He just, hey, put your hands up. It's inside the 20. It's not like he's throwing 50 yards downfield and trying to calculate some crazy derivative math. I mean, it's just pitch and catch at that point.
Yeah, well, he was not on the same page as Rodgers all year last year, so we'll see.
Who was? It was a rough year.
We'll see.
Devontae Adams, that's him.
All right, you got Ryan, I got Ryan, we all got Ryan. All right. On to the next matchup. Comerica, fuck yeah. Jason Olsen versus Bob's Johnson.
I did like that team name. That was pretty cool.
I like it too. Well, Jason, he's got Russell Wilson, Alvin Kamara, Phil Lindsay, Kenny Galladay, Tyler Lockett, O.J. Howard, Michael Gallup, Patriots defense, Justin Tucker on the bench. He's got he's got Tony Pollard, Dallas running back, who looks like he ain't going to be worth the shit now that Zeke's back. Kelvin Ridley, Kalen Balaj, Jamison Crowder, Andy Isabella, C.J. Anderson, Eric Ebron. He's got a lot of upside guys. A lot of guys.
Last year's hero.
Yeah, well,
I mean seriously, Philip Lindsay, fucking
Galladay and Gallup, Kelvin Ridley. Yeah, I know. O.J. Howard.
These are all guys that were awesome that won't be this year.
Or all guys that are supposed to be awesome and just have never been awesome, like O.J. Howard.
Same with Tyler Lockett. I mean, yeah.
No, Tyler Lockett's good. Tyler Lockett's
He's
good.
But it's hard to repeat what he did last year.
We did have a lot of touchdowns.
You can't expect a tutty every game.
He could last year.
That's of course. Everybody has that great year. You know, I don't know. He's got O.J. Howard, the guy who's not Cameron Brate. I think he's overrated this year. Michael Gallup is the guy who's not named Amari Cooper. I think he's a little overrated.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
You know, I'm more of a Royce Freeman guy.
It was a learning curve for Jason this year. I promise you that. On the other side,
Royce Freeman, didn't you?
What's that?
I said, didn't you take Royce Freeman?
No, I did not. I bid him up, and someone else took him.
Oh man, I'm big on him this year again.
Looking at the other team on the other side, Bob's Johnson. We talked about this team ad nauseum. You got Prescott, David Johnson, Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, Robert Woods, Vance McDonald, Chris Carson, Cowboys defense, Matt Prater, and a bunch of bullshit on the bench because you had like $3 left. But Frank Gore looks like he might be worth something now.
He's probably going to be the starter. I have freaking Sterling Shepard, Josh Allen. Come on, Texans defense just hanging out. Also, fun low-key fact, Justice Hill might actually end up being way more valuable than people think.
Yeah, we'll
I
find
probably
out.
won't hang on to him long enough to see that happen. It'll be another DeMarco Murray situation.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, somebody needs to know I called it. That being said,
I don't need to know
have
any more of your...
Bills on my bench. That's not that encouraging.
Well, since we don't pick our own games, I don't need to hear any more of your bullshit. I am picking you to win.
Logical. Because none of my guys are hurt yet. I drafted my fucking starters, and then I didn't give a shit about my bench. So it makes sense that week 1 I should look fucking good.
Oh, yeah. All right, and the final matchup. It's me, Kittle Chubb, versus a geriatric at quarterback, Justin Parsons. Looking through my team, I got Baker Mayfield, James White, Nick Chubb, Julian Edelman, D.D. Westbrook, George Kittle, Derrick Henry, the Eagles defense, Steven Gostkowski. On the bench, I got Will Fuller, 5, Corey Davis, Geronimo Allison. Oh, I did pick Royce Freeman.
Jesus, that's what I got. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Dante Pettis, Chris Thompson, and Jimmy Garoppolo.
Shows how much Royce Freeman is worth to you. It's going to be funny to me when you're starting him, and then you forgot you drafted him.
Yeah, I guess we can play a tight end in the flex. Justin's team, he's got Drew Brees, Delvin Cook, Damian Williams, DeAndre Hopkins, Allen Robinson, David Njoku, Miles Sanders, the Broncos D, that guy who's the kicker for Houston that I can never say his name right.
Kaim Fairbairn.
That's it. He's also got the third-string running back for Kansas City now, Darwin Thompson. Tim Brady on the bench, Matt Breida, Jarvis Landry, Devin Singletary, who might be the starting running back in Buffalo, Christian Kirk, and Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, it's funny, like Frank Gore might actually be the starter. Devin Singletary is a great running back out of college, but he's small. And that's, it's tough in the NFL to be, the next.
They say he might be more of a factor later in the season.
Yeah, well, it makes me feel good about a buck for Gore. That's all I'm going to say. Not a bad backup.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain there.
Anywho, so I got to make a pick here. This one was tough. I do like I like some guys. Just this week, I like Dalvin Cook healthy against Atlanta. That could be awesome. Drew Brees, in a potential shootout against Houston. DeAndre Hopkins gets New Orleans. God, there's a lot to like about the matchups. I'm bigger on the matchups than I am on the talent. That's why we pick so different, I feel like, sometimes. I'm a huge D.D. Westbrook fan. You got him, and I was really wanting him.
I didn't get him for much either. He was
probably you got a deal there. That was after
he was the
I already
bargain of the draft at wide receiver, I think.
Yeah. Chubb, I'm a big fan. Edelman, obviously. Kittle's great. Fuck. You know what? Because it feels so good to believe in Baker, I'm taking you.
Aw, thanks, bud. I got D.D. Westbrook for $6.
Dude, I love Baker Mayfield. That guy's a good dude.
I love Baker Mayfield too. I was not sold on him in college, but since he got to the NFL, I like he just speaks his mind.
I like him more that him and Manziel have so much in common, but their differences are just enough where I like Baker.
Like Baker Mayfield doesn't have a drug problem.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know.
all
You
right.
need to get Fuller in your starting lineup, though.
Who?
Fuller. He's only going to be healthy for a couple weeks.
He's not healthy right now. That's the problem.
Ah, shit. I was going to say, when he's on the field, he's good for 2 touchdowns and 170 yards when he's, not hurt. Well, it's like 2 weeks out of the year.
And they just traded for Kenny Stills, too. By the way, the Texans did trade basically for a player in every position.
Yeah. Let it be known I said that Kyle should move Derrick Henry up into James White's spot and put Fuller in that flex.
James White's is their number 2 wide receiver.
Till Gronk comes back.
Yeah, we'll see about that. All right. Quick housekeeping note here. Eckler versus Cup. Did we put that one on the board, and what's the bet?
A bottle of the other's choosing in the alcohol department, no more than fucking Christ, $30.
Deal. Put it on the board.
Yeah.
All right. It's time for everybody's favorite game. It's called Family Circle. What do you got this week, Bob?
All right. So, Mike, we leave the house a lot as a family, right? We go on these trips. We go up north. We go camping. We send the kids to the parents, and we go to Rock USA, stuff like that. So we don't really keep pets in the house a lot. We have a hermit crab, and we keep him alive because it's not very needy. We got a freaking parakeet this week. And
a parakeet.
It's right at the foot of Ryan's bed. Ryan is crazy. My middle child, Ryan, is crazy about pets and, to make him happy and stuff. Nicole got him a parakeet. I didn't even know it was going to happen until it was already in the house. I've been basically trying to figure out how, who watches? Do people take birds to other people's houses and drop them off when they go on vacation? Is that? I know how the dog thing kind of works, but
yeah, I remember you had a dog for a week.
Yeah, well, I had him for a while. That was a long story. I thought I was going to be home more when I got that dog, and now he's with my sister, who loves him a lot. So that actually worked out okay.
Well,
but. Yeah, I don't know. So we got this parakeet, and we're trying to figure out how to take care of birds, and it's kind of cool. I take them out of the cage sometimes, and the kids are all, enamored with every time he makes a tweeting noise and stuff like that. But just feel at the end of the day, it's going to be another one of those things where it's all right, we're leaving for 3 days. Oh, shit, we have a bird. Who's going to take the bird? Sort of thing maybe. But I don't know. Maybe there's some bird people out there that can fill me in on how this works. I have not owned birds.
Neither have I.
Yeah, so that's my thing. That was my parenting surprise of the week, I guess, as it were. Otherwise, everything's pretty much the same madness that it normally is, as it stands, minus the fact that obviously the kids just started school, and
yes,
thus far, my oldest hasn't burned the school down, which is a pleasant surprise, so that's a good thing.
Yes. Piggybacking on that, first week of school. So, Vince just started 4K, and we were really trying to build up the school thing for him, make him excited about it, get him all jacked up for 4K, right?
Absolutely.
So, we thought, you know what, let's do something nice for him. Let's make a big deal out of this. We got a babysitter for Evan. We told him that we were going to do something special with him. We took him up to Green Bay. We said, look, bud, we're going to go out for dinner. We're going to go school shopping. We're going to get you some new shoes and some new clothes. And you're going to get to pick out, some freaking dinosaur or Lego folders and some markers and crayons and, all the bullshit that, would get
you
a kid.
You went all out to make that first year of school special.
Yeah, to make it special for him, right? Well, we get to Green Bay, and he wants to go to Culver's for dinner, even though he wanted to go somewhere special. So we argued with him about where we were going to go for dinner. Finally ended up going to Red Robin, which
Yum.
he was not happy about until we got there, and now he thinks it's the coolest place ever because he's never been to Red Robin before. Then we go to Kohl's, and we start looking at clothes, and he's interested for about 4 seconds, and then he goes, so if it's a special day, when are we going to get Legos? We're like, no, we're going school shopping, kid. And he's like, oh, so we're going shopping and we're not getting Legos? And we're like, no, we're going to get school stuff. And he's like,
that's a travesty in his book.
yeah, he's like, well, if we're not getting Legos, can we go home? And that's how our school shopping excursion went. We were all jacked for it. We thought we were going to do something nice, have a little Mom and Kyle and Vince time because, he doesn't get a whole lot of that with the baby in the house anymore. And we just struck out.
I think, so the kids, they get very obsessive about one specific, topic. They're like Ryan and Rob are like, can we go to Target? We want to get a Fortnite action figure, right? I could take them out to the coolest dinner. I could take them out to, the trampoline park. I could take them to Chuck E. Cheese. I could take them to the water park. And then at the end of the day, we'll get back, and it'll just be like, oh, man, we just spent a lot of money and just had the time of our lives. And they'll be like, so can we go to Target and get that Fortnite toy?
Oh, I know.
No.
Vince is like that all the time. The other night, me and him, we had some guy time. We hung out. We worked on. We built some stuff in the shop because he likes building things with. He's got a tool set and a hammer and all that kind of stuff. And we built some stuff, and then we built a bonfire, and we just did a whole bunch of stuff all around the house outside. And he was helping me all over the place. And then it's like 7, 8 o'clock. We have a bonfire. We roast marshmallows. I go to take him up to the house to go to bed, and he's just like, so when are we going to play PlayStation again? And I'm like, what? We did all this stuff all day. He's like, yeah, well, I just want to play Sonic. And I'm like, whatever, kid. It's just, you try and you try and you try.
Yeah, they all have their thing, man. It's okay. It doesn't mean they didn't have fun. It's just, kids, their priorities.
Oh, but I mean, you're right. They focus and focus and focus on one specific thing, and then you could do all this cool stuff for them, and they're just like, oh, yeah, but what about that one thing? It's like, come on, man. But anyway, we're $1:28 into this. I'm running on fumes. It's 10:25 p.m. It's the Wednesday before the start of the football season. Tomorrow night.
I have a Brewer game to get to.
Yeah. Tomorrow night, Packers versus Bears. Robert will be watching the Brewers. Everybody, good luck in the first week. And we'll see you again, hopefully sometime next week. I am moving from one house to the other on Thursday coming up. And I am hoping that we can squeeze this in before we start moving because I don't know when I'm going to have the equipment unpacked again. So bear with us. It might be a little choppy for the first couple of weeks. But once we get settled in, we'll be rolling on a regular basis. It'll probably be every Wednesday or Thursday night from now on.
Sounds good.
All right. Until next time, I'm Kyle. That is Rob. We are the Gentleman Fantasy Football Podcast. Signing off.
Peace.